Hello everyone. Typically nature takes its time when it does any geoengineering and changes the landscape. But when you live in an arid environment and you look at the weather map and you see that there's strong winds and a lot of rain coming and it's only a day away, then you are in a bit of a hurry to get your swales in the ground. And so this video is about what happened during that day. I'm here in Wolseley, and we are in that little green circle that you see there on the map. That's where we're at, and as you can see from the bottom left, in other words from the southwestern side, we've got a strong cold front approaching, and it was going to hit us within 24 hours. And so this is what I did.
So this is the A-frame contraption that I built to measure out or to mark out swales. Traditionally, these things have this piece of string with a weight on the end. But I found out that that doesn't work very well in our windy conditions, because inevitably, whenever the day you decide to mark out a swale, it will either be pouring with rain, which happens very infrequently here, or it will be blistering hot, or you will have a flippin' 1,000-mile-an-hour wind blowing the string all over the place. So I opted to go without the string. And what I did instead is I put the spirit level down there. It shows you exactly when this thing is dead level at the bottom, which is exactly how you want it to be. And all that I did for legs at the bottom, I just put a couple of decent screws in there. You can see the one, there you can see the other one. And then it's just a bit of basic woodworking to keep the whole thing together. And up here you can see where I just joined it. I just put a couple of nice strong screws in there. And there you go. That's it. I'm gonna go and measure out a swale today. So the peach tree here is presenting me with a rather unique problem. This is as old as that little apricot that you see there. It was planted at the same time. It's about the same height. This is just over head high. So it's just a little bit higher than head high. Maybe I should just move here so you could see. So it's about 50 centimeters or so above my head. My problem here is that the ground, same as over there by the apricot, the contour runs down that away, okay? But I can't dig a swale on top here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rake away around this tree, right? Just clear around it like that. And then where this stone is, I'm going to move this stone. And I'm going to basically just make a seepage pit there, like a round swale, if we could call it that. So that any water, and then I'm going to give it a little diversion ditch down here as well, see if we can't get some water to move in there. Because the plume, while the water tends to always on the surface runs downhill, once it enters the soil, then it tends to move downhill at a slow speed, but at a very, very slow speed towards the sides. So if we have the drainage ditch here, the tree roots will in time find that extra water on their own, and the tree will still benefit. We're still going to give it the stone mulching. I'm going to use that big one as part of the stone mulching, but this is where I'm going to put the drainage ditch for several reasons. The one is, probably the main reason is, this is the only area I can really access. Over there we've got that big old tree trunk lying there, or that big, whatever you want to call it, beam lying here. We can't get in there. It's gonna be impossible to work there. And this is roughly how the contour runs. So this is an area that I can access. Principle is you do what you can with what you've got. En daar is 'n mini swale.
There you go. Yeah.
Alright, so when we get rain here, the rain's going to come down this little path. I'm going to make a little ditch over here to catch it and divert it into this, which is, you see, from the first part of the video, it's talking about this whole backyard here that we're going to turn into a fruit forest. So we're going to divert that water in here. This is the beginning of that little swale, which is on the highest point here. So this is the most important one. Now you saw how hard this ground is, and we don't have any heavy equipment to do it with, so everything has to be done by hand. And the trick to doing it is to do it a little bit at a time. Now we are expecting rain tonight and tomorrow, so I hope that we're going to be able to catch the first bit of water in here, which will start creating the plume that goes down here. I hope to also today be able to make little swales around those fruit trees and around this little apricot tree. And I'm also thinking about this. This is goldenrod, plant which I planted here years ago and completely forgot about and actually thought was dead. Goldenrod is pretty good for kidney stones and for things like hay fever, for allergies. Pretty good for that. So I want to give it a little swale here, just getting some water into this little guy and to my other fruit trees. Here we've got an apricot. Down there we've got a guava. That stringy little thing up there, that's Funiculum vulgare, that's fennel. Here's fennel as well. Down there is a locrat. Here's 2 peach trees. There's a third one over there. What is that thing called? A prune tree. And then back there, but you can't see it from here, there's also a small banana tree that's been clinging on for the last 10 years or so and never received any water. So this is the first time that I'm actually applying any permaculture type of a solution to this part here. So I think that these guys are going to start benefiting tremendously from this point. They're really close to my bees. Here's one of the beehives. There's a couple over there. There's one over there as well. So they're really close to the beehives, which isn't ideal. The perfect world, we would have the beehives about 100 meters away. But that's okay. We have to do what we can with what we've got. And so that's what we're doing here. You see the fall of the land going down to the right hand side there. That's the lower end there. And the swale over there, it's the first one. It's sort of on the highest point of this land. I'm creating the swale there, and the rest I'm going to try and see how much of it I can terrace. Although with this type of ground we've got here, it's back-breaking work. I can tell you it's very, very hard work, but it's very well worth it. This little swale that I'm spending the morning on here now is probably going to be serving this land in another 100 years still, and probably for thousands of years, unless someone comes in here and fills it up or digs the thing out or destroys it. So then it would mess it up, of course. But as long as this structure in the land remains here, it will keep on feeding the ground, feeding the aquifer, feeding the soil and microorganisms and everything. Okay, so I think I'm done with the swale. It's not going to be a big one, it's just for this little tree. And so here we have the swale here in front, and then we've got the berm there at the back, right? Started picking up first rocks already, like that one lying there. It's going to be part of the stone mulching. Now I'm just going to place a lot of this stuff directly around the stem of the tree. Okay, so a couple minutes later, and here the tree has been mulched. Now it's time to get some rocks. Okay, just a sweaty couple of minutes later. Here we have the stone mulching. So this tree has not only been swaled and bermed, it's also been mulched and stone mulched. And I believe of those things, the stone mulching is probably the most important thing that I could have done for this tree. So I'm going to be updating you guys in another year's time. You're going to see what this growth looks like. It's going to be awesome, I could promise you that. Okay, so this is the second tree. This is how far I am now with a hole there. Sort of little round swale that I've dug here. And I'm thinking of extending this a little further to the side here, to the left, So I've got more material that I can take out and put on the berm to bring the berm around a little bit further down here to catch more water, because that is the high point and the water's flowing down in this direction. So I'd like to catch more of it over here. Wow, what a day. All right, so this is the first swale I dug, and what we did here was, you see the water's coming down off of the road there, going to run into that and then into the swale, which is all nicely on the contour. But here we made a deeper hole. The reason for that was, let me first show you the second one. We had this bloody huge rock. That monster there, thing was, well, it kept us busy the whole afternoon. All right, so we dug that out of this hole. So this hole is now in this swale here. Starting from there, this is the little footpath coming down here. I put that little diversion ditch there. It's gonna run in here, it's gonna fill up, walk, run over here, reach this spot, stop running over until that has filled up. Once this is filled up, the overflow is going to keep on going down there. So this thing is going to become the feeding point for a massive plume underground for this small little area. So this is going to be an extremely important feature here. Now that's what we did over here. We're still going to deepen this in the next couple of days. Ultimately what we're going to do is we want to have the whole swale at least that size. Everything needs to be that size. And then we are going to, I'm guessing over there, right at that spot, we are going to have a drainage ditch same as that as well, or a seepage pit the same as that as well. That's going to be the next point over there. I'm going to make a nice big one, make it nice and deep. So when we have rain coming down there, it gets caught by that little thing, runs down here, bloop, 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 all the way into there, whoop, fills up all the way to the top, and then backfills here, and then gradually seeps through, because you never ever have the berm, that's this part here, the berm of the swale never can never be compacted. You can't have that as a waterproof thing. So water needs to be able to flow through it, and then flow into that one, and flow through it, and then go further down as well. Yeah, this has been very, very cool. We've been busy and we've achieved a lot of good results here today. So early this morning I started here and I dug out these little guys. These are just sort of starter swales, but they're here next to where the road is. As you can see, there hasn't been a whole lot of work that's been done here yet, but I got them in the ground just in time, because I just received a weather warning. We're expecting a severe weather tonight, which in South Africa is, if you're a permie, it's typically very good news, because it means it's gonna rain tonight. So I just wanted to come and take a last look at these guys. Tonight they're gonna get their first proper rain, and I hope to see a bit of water in here by tomorrow morning, which I think is going to be very, very exciting. Yeah, this ground is going to get such a fright, because it hasn't been irrigated in like 10 years or so, and all the other times that there's been any rain whatsoever, it would just wash right off and disappear into the horizon there. This is the first time we're going to have any infiltration. Same with this little terrace, and I marked down another little swale here as well. Hasn't been dug yet, it's just been marked out, but this is going to be awesome. Going to be really cool. Oh wow. 6:15 in the morning, and the first water is here in the Swales, and it's raining. This is fantastic. This is fantastic. Wonderful news, this. So here we have the first 5 swales on the farm. They were dug last year, and each of them, by my calculations, would keep about 6 or more tons of water uh, on the property that would be allowed to infiltrate slowly. Now, because this is only their second rainfall season, you still only get very slow infiltration. Last year, the water remained in these swales for several weeks after the last rains. This year we might still get the same effect, but probably from next year it'll be gone within just a few days. And the reason why it would be gone is it'll infiltrate into the ground really, really quickly. What we already noticed, you'll see on that side there's almost nothing growing there, and that's because of all these eucalyptus trees. They have a bit of a negative impact on the ground, on other plants that are directly underneath them. But on this side, we've got more plant growth here than we've ever had before. This has always been a fairly dry part of the property, and we've never really been able to have any greenery here. Suddenly, after last year, after I put the swales in, suddenly these guys just completely, this entire area just completely exploded. And that's because all this water now stays on the property, and it'll probably stay on the property for hundreds of years before it finally leaves by the ditch outside next to the road.
Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this, remember to like and subscribe. Bye.